Hello, ELDR 6433, Dr. Jerry Burkett, back with another, just a quick video, just to say hello and I guess kind of say goodbye as we wrap up this very quick semester. Our class officially ends in like 5 days. So here we are. Here we are wrapping everything up. Some of you have already turned in your capstone project, which is fine. A little crazy, but okay. That's good. You manage your own schedule. You do your own thing. Most of you are probably taking other classes anyway. I've never been so egotistical enough to think that I'm the only class that people are taking. Some people might think that way. I, however, do not think that way. But nonetheless, we are wrapping up the first half of the summertime, which just seems to be flying by, as time seems to always do anyway. I'm just glad it hasn't hit 100 yet. That's just kind of where I'm at in this phase of my life as we progress through 2026, and we are about halfway through. So with that, we've covered a lot in this class. I'm kind of looking through. We looked at some leadership theory. We looked at ethics, power, influence, how organizations operate, the dynamics of leadership. We looked at trust. We talked about all of these things in this class, and hopefully in the end you've been able to sort of do a couple of things. That was kind of the goal of the class, and my hope is that you've been able to do one as we've progressed through these different types of leadership and ethics and so on, that you've been able to just mentally spot examples of these aspects throughout the world in your life, your day-to-day workings through social media, the news, where you work, where you buy your groceries. I mean, when you're in the leadership game in the world, in this context, you can't help but to sometimes just spot these things and point them out when they happen. I do it all the time. I do it in a sports context. I do it in a politics context. I do it even on a small scale. I've often talked about when my son played baseball, the different coaches and coaching styles, and how that still lends to a level of leadership. And sometimes you even see it in the fictional world. You might be watching a TV show, you might be watching a movie, and you might, pick up something from a class that you took or a conversation that we had or a lecture that you watched, and you just see that real world context come to life because fiction, of course, imitates real life. All of art is an imitation of real life, whether it's paintings, sculptures, media, television, plays, all of these are imitations of real life. So to see these examples and to point to them, even if you read it in a book or saw it on TV, it's irrelevant. It's still an aspect that you can possibly relate to. So that's the first thing that I was hoping you would able to gain from this course. The second thing that I was hoping you would be able to gain is just a perspective of who you are in this context and who you intend to be. Again, you're working on a doctorate, you're progressing through a doctoral program, you're still, no matter how old you are, you're still figuring life out. And that's kind of how it is. You're not going to have it figured out at 20. You're not going to have it figured out at 30, and so on. It's just your life progresses and it changes when the circumstances of life change. And you're still the same person, but you adjust and you adapt because life changes around you. And because life changes around you, how you react to certain situations will change. How you move through life and make decisions will change. But what hopefully won't change for you is your core, the foundational core that you draw from to push through any of the leadership roles that you'll find yourself in throughout your lifetime. And that's the second thing, is hopefully you were able to find your personal leadership philosophy. And again, the assignment was developing a personal leadership philosophy. What you wrote today is probably going to change tomorrow. It's just going to. It took me a long time to figure out what kind of principal I wanted to be, what kind of director I wanted to be, and even what kind of professor that I wanted. And it changes. And I try to remain dynamic. And if we're not dynamic people, then we get stagnant and we get boring and we don't change and move with the times, because the world will continue without us. And that's just sort of the bottom line. I've always kind of been an adapt or die person. You know, I move very quickly whenever I can to try to learn from the world around me. And so that's my last thing. That's my parting words for you. And hopefully I'll have another class with you. And if I don't, then, you know, maybe I'll see you down the road. But my parting wisdom for all of you in your leadership journey is just simply this: have a curious mind. Be a curious person. If it's interesting, read about it. If it's foreign to you, try to understand it. If it's different in an aspect, in a way that you've never seen before, ask questions. When we lose curiosity, we don't gain any more of ourselves. And we don't expand our thinking. And we don't expand our brains and try to understand. I didn't say adopt. I just said understand. That's all it is. Once you gain an understanding, you might decide, that ain't for me. I don't want any part of that. I don't need that in my life. Fine. But at least you walk away with an understanding and appreciation of a different perspective. That's what having a curious mind really means. Just recently, I've been exploring this YouTube channel, and I don't want to give it an endorsement. But it's not my political leanings. It's certainly not anything that I have a deep-seated investment in. But I stumbled across it one day doom scrolling, and I did spend 30, 35 minutes watching a video to hear this person's perspective on immigration, without, again, giving this particular YouTube channel any kind of endorsement, because I don't believe it deserves an endorsement. Frankly, the number of views it's garnering, it seems to be doing fine on its own. It doesn't need my endorsement. But I watched it. I learned some things. I gained some perspective, and I walked away. And I didn't have to comment. I didn't have to be rage baited. I didn't have to involve myself in some of these things that social media tends to draw up in us. But what it did do for me was it answered some questions for me that I was curious about. Why people think that way, why people were moving in this particular direction in that kind of topic in the immigration world. And if anything, it just drew more questions for me. So then I could go to another source and ask those questions and gain some insightful answers. That's what a curious mind is. And so what happens is that I walk away with a different opinion. I walk away with new understanding. And my other mantra and motto is new information, new opinion. Because opinions should be rooted in some fact-based information. Fine. You think red is better than blue? Okay. But when it comes to larger worldly issues, politics, education, healthcare, etc., whatever that might be, your opinions on those matters should be grounded in some sort of fact, something that I can read and something that I can understand outside of just, I think, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, blah, blah, blah should be rooted in something. So, new opinion, new information, new opinion. That's my other little mantra that I have. So that's it. That's where we are, wrapping up everything. Your capstone project is due June 27th. I know the class ends the 28th, but if you can get that into me a little bit early, that would be great, since there's a lot of you are just submitting different forms of media for your project, and I'll need some time to review those as we sort of wrap up the semester. I'm also preparing a trip to London. I am going to London and Oxford. It's a work trip. I'm going to present in Oxford, but I'm also going because I'll be taking a group of students on a study abroad trip in 2027. So the summer of 2027, and I'm looking forward to taking some students there. So to spend some time in London and Oxford. So this is a scouting trip for me, but it's also, my wife is going with me. We're also going to spend some time in England and Scotland, part of our 20th anniversary celebration. But anyway, study abroad trip 2027, looking forward to it. I'll be pushing out the advertisements for that when I get back. So I'm looking forward to exploring London and Oxford with TWU students. That'll be fun. It's part of a grant that I wrote last year. So I'm excited for that. But with that, I hope you had a great semester. Glad you were here. Hope you came away with something. And for those of you who filled out the evaluation forms and sent that to me, thank you. I appreciate it. Again, feedback is wonderful and needed and important. And if you've done that and you can send me proof of your feedback, I'll give you some bonus points. Just for helping me out. Hello, ELDR 5123, Dr. Jerry Burkett back here on June 23rd. I'm stunned how quickly things are moving. And again, I'm looking at my piece of paper here, 5123. It ends July 3rd. That's in like a week and a half, man. That's crazy. That's a Friday, by the way. July 3rd is a Friday. So welcome back. This class is moving so quickly. So the opportunities for me to do these kinds of videos are few and far between. And I already have some things posted here, and I mentioned that a week or so ago anyway. But I do want to point some things out. Let's take a look. The Leadership Lab assignment, your executive decision memo. Okay, so I read through those. Everyone did a fabulous job. All I really did was just kind of give you some feedback. Trauma-informed leadership is not easy. It's relatively new, but I wanted to make sure that we're addressing the mental health crisis in education because it's part of my research that I do. It's one of my research areas, and I'm actually presenting on it this summer. I'm going to Oxford to present on it, which I'm looking forward to, but I digress. Our teachers are struggling. That's what my research is showing me. I need to expand on what I've currently done. But I've learned that our teachers are struggling and they're not taking care of themselves. Those are the two big ones. And so a couple of years ago, when I went to AERA, which is my big educational research conference, the American Educational Research Association, it is the world's largest education research conference. And they go to big cities. They were in Los Angeles. April of this year, they're in Toronto next year, and the year before they were in Denver. So I was in Denver, and some young baby doc dissertation, bright-eyed 20-year-olds came up to me as a part of a roundtable session that I was leading on mental health and education, and they're presenting to me their findings of trauma-informed leadership out of the University of Michigan. Now, I'm not picking on University of Michigan. I would not do that because they are a flagship, large state university, and frankly, their school of education is outstanding. So I'm not picking on the University of Michigan whatsoever. And I told them this, and I said, your findings on what school leaders should do in trauma-informed leadership is outstanding work. As a former principal, when am I going to have time to do this? And I asked that question because these bright-eyed young baby docs have never been a practitioner. And so I have this unique experience of bringing in the practitioner lens to education. And when I do that, I end up posing these questions for a lot of these, researchers who intend to be higher education professionals, but yet are producing research for the rest of us, or at least the practitioner ones that are going to be actually doing the stuff. And I just had to ask, when am I gonna have time? When would a practicing high school principal have time to do this stuff? And the answer is I don't know. But it's important to have an awareness of it. And so in the mental health world, really what I just wanted you to do is understand that your teachers are going to struggle. They will suffer from burnout. The more challenging school that you work at, the likelihood of burnout increases. Teachers are going to burn through their days. And if you're not a good school leader If you think that you're the kind of person who's above everyone else and better than everyone else because of your title and your degrees and your salary, those individuals also have the most challenges with keeping teachers in their building, because that's my other research agenda. I research school leadership, and I know that teachers leave bad principals in bad schools. They do. They absolutely do. They will go and find other opportunities. And we're also finding that teachers will leave bad school districts. If the school district is turning sour, teachers will leave. They'll go. They'll take pay cuts. And here's a great example. Keller ISD, struggling. School district fell apart. School board tanked the entire district. Teachers, exodus. That's what happens. It's school leadership. Not picking on the district, just picking on reality. It's what happens. We have enough research to back it up. So teachers leave bad principals, they leave bad districts, but they also have mental health struggles. And I'm glad here in 2026 that we're spending a lot more time talking about mental health, because it's a conversation that has been needed to be had for a very, very long time. So it's part of it. It's part of life. We deal with it, and we deal with it in our own ways. And some of us are dealing with it better than others. But as a school principal, I want you to have an awareness of it. So I didn't grade too harshly on that. And again, it's a new assignment, and sort of, I told you, you're going to be the test. You're the test case for this new stuff. So I'm looking forward to your feedback on that. Okay, because I did have difficulty grading those, I will be honest. I told you that some of these discussion boards, like the Real Talk ones, those are real world examples. So I posted my response about the librarian. Hope you've had a chance to watch that one, because again, it's saucy. And then the newest one that's out there is What's That Smell? Real Talk, What's That Smell? And I also posted that as well. My response to that is also posted. So all of those are located under the podcast episodes, video lectures, weekly newsletters. I haven't done any newsletters for this class because I've been doing these weekly updates, and that's kind of enough, I think. So with that, we're moving ahead, and we are moving quickly, and we've done ethical leadership and moral stewardship and the evolving principle. You've all done that. And so now we're kind of moving into module 4, driving instructional excellence. And most of you attended T-test training with me. So you learned how to script. If you didn't learn how to do evidence-based scripting, I have a module lesson on here for you, okay, to walk you through a step-by-step of how to live script and do some T-test mapping. A lot of that is review for those of you who were able to attend T-test. If you didn't attend the T-test training, spend some time on this lesson, evidence-based scripting, because I want you to practice. In that module, you're going to get a chance to actually practice how to do a walkthrough. And there's a leadership lab on it, classroom walkthrough and feedback. So that is on module 4. That's it. Next week is the last week. This class is only 5.5 weeks long. It moves very, very quickly. It doesn't even feel like 5.5 weeks. So if you're struggling, if you need more time, if things are moving too quickly, please reach out to me, okay? And let me know where you are, because I'm here to help you. My office hours are largely Mondays and Tuesdays, but I do kind of sit up here in my office Wednesdays and the occasional Thursdays. But if you need anything, I'm here. Reach out, email. I'm available for Zoom. I'm available for phone calls, whatever. I'm here to help you, here to support. But this class, I've largely built in a lot of the things that you need to be successful. So with that, I might see many of you in my next class, which is 5323. That starts July 6th. So if you're in my 5323 class, I will see you July 6th and another online fun. Outside of that, I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Be glad it's not 100 degrees yet, but that happens next week. And I will see you soon. Bye.